Alright, chat. So this is something I've worked on for the past 6-7 hours. It took a while, okay? And I had some help from various different people. But this is a balance feedback / wish list for the game, for coming patches, what I hope to see. So let's start with this. Hold on. I will start with a disclaimer right here. This is my disclaimer, right? And I will be starting with Greeks. So let's start with Greek. So Greek, let's talk about the general game right now. Right now, the game is, patches that have been coming lately have made the game better. It's heading in the right direction. But there are still some things that I hope to see change, and these are the things I will list in this video for people to hear, see, watch, listen, and give thoughts and feedback on. So let's get right into it. For Greeks, the general issue right now for Greeks is the military strength, the heroes, and the lack of, power spikes in the Mythic Age. Like after you use your, lightning storm, earthquake, just the Greeks' identity as a whole, right? Just feels lacking. They should be among the strongest in the late game by design, by the way. That's what their intention is. But they still fall short of pretty much every other civ right now. So this is the issue I will present to you here. This is the first one. This is for the Hoplite. The problem is that they don't feel as good as the other generalist units. You have the Berserk, Mermillo, and now the new addition, Dao Swordsman. With all the unique upgrades those guys get, Hoplite falls short. So it just does not feel good to be in that situation. And the possible solutions we could have here is this for the Hoplites. This is what I could see being a nice solution or a nice little buff to help the Hoplites be more, prominent in their role as a generalist unit. Remove the Sarissa range buff and just make them inherent. That's a simple thing, but yet it would help so much. And then this can open Sarissa to be a different tech, a unique tech. Like this stuff, many different things can be done with it, right? But something like a cav snaring tech or a 15% damage buff, just to make it simple. But then you would have to increase the cost accordingly to, balance it out, right? This would provide Zeus and Hades with a means to counter high-speed cav without needing to make their Hippias or Prodromos, which they don't really want to do because of the state of Hippias and Prodromos. And this would also make Poseidon's Hoplites more viable. This idea came from Pegasus Rush. He was the one who originally thought about this, and that's why I wanted to bring some more light to it, since I think it's a really, really good idea. And I would love to see this change for the Hoplites. But yeah, moving on. Let me just quickly this. Also, someone in my chat just reminded me, I did forget for that Hoplite change, remove the cavalry multiplier from Hoplites. I think that would be a good change in return for those. Next up, this is another issue for Greek, I feel. It is the Hippias. The Hippias is only made by Poseidon, simply because it's lacking the speed for the other two civs to make, and just general use. But for Poseidon, it's currently fine, but that doesn't mean it's still good, even for Poseidon. What I would like to see, I would like to see these changes for it, possibly. Think these solutions could help. Of course, when I'm presenting these solutions, does not mean that I want all of them. It means you can take one of them and apply it to the said thing, right? Doesn't have to be all. But Poseidon's cavalry and myth units gain 0.3 to 0.5 health regen per second, and the cavalry will still stack with Lord of Horses. You can reduce the Hippias cost by 10% for Poseidon, only Poseidon, not Zeus or Hades. You can remove Poseidon's 0.4 speed bonus on the Hippias, and instead of that, you give him either one of these two. You give him either the 10% off for the Hippias, or you give him 0.3 to 0.5 health regen on the myth units and the cavalry, in return for removing the speed bonus. And by doing this, you can now buff the Hippias speed to 5.9 or 6, so that Zeus and Hades also are able to make Hippias if the game state calls for it. Because right now, even if they need counter archer or a fast moving unit, especially Hades, they still don't build cav because it's simply not worth it for them. But this could potentially make it worth. But yeah, next up we have the one of the bigger issues for Greek. I feel it's their unique units. They feel completely useless. Partially because you can't actually make them, because of the investment required to even make them viable in the first place, and plus their roles aren't really clear, especially Gastra Feta roles. And my idea behind possible fixes for this could be, it's pretty simple fix really. Do that. Sorry, I'm a noob. Okay, there we go. These are the possible solutions I see to make these unique units feel a bit better. Hetaroi, I don't think the way they are right now is fun or good for the game. I and many others I've spoken to, much prefer the legacy version of Hetaroi, where you could run around and kill buildings with it. It wasn't overpowered, it was functional, and it was fun. And they had a very clear counter as well. People would just make towers in their base when they start seeing Hetarois and get crenellations, and that would deal with the Hetarois. Plus, the way they work right now, it's really difficult to get them out. But yeah, that's it for Hetarois. And as for Gastrofeteros, it's unclear on what this unit really is. It's like has a multiplier against infantry and buildings, but neither of them are actually good. It's too in between. I feel like you should make it move into one direction rather than try to mix it up, because it's a unique unit. It should be good at the one thing it's going to do, because right now it's not good for either of the things it's supposed to do. So either buffing it to be an infantry killer, or much preferably make it a building destroyer like back in Legacy. Because back in Legacy, Gastrofeteros were viable and they were very fun to use as well. And I do believe people would like it here as well. But yeah, that's it for the Gastrofeteros. For Myrmidons, I think they're fine as they are. Their only problem is the accessibility, and they kind of don't feel too good to make because they're pretty expensive and take a long while to get going. But once they come out, they're decent. Like, they do their job, right? Especially with that divine damage. So these are fine overall as a unit. It's just kind of hard to access. But now, one thing I do want to propose big time is rework to Olympian weapons. Of course, keep, I believe right now it's 20% damage for these unique units. Maybe tune that down to 10% and give it the ability to unlock these unique units in the respective military buildings. So you'd be able to make Myrmidons from military barracks, Gastrofeteros from archer range, and Heterois from stables. You would, of course, need to increase the cost of this tech as well. Something like 500 food, 500 gold, 40 favor. And this would also get affected by Forge of Olympus, which would make it even cheaper. Something like 200, 220, I guess. But I think this would maybe be a really good change for Greek to actually see some use of their unique units. Because right now you rarely see them, if ever. Usually, more likely than not, if you are trying to build their units, you're probably very far ahead and would have won the game either way. And if you ever try to make them while you're behind, the investment is so steep that you will probably lose the game. So it's not really feasible to try to get these units out for Greek, even if they do get to the Mythic Age. It just takes too long. So maybe something like this would allow them to see some play again. I do hope we do see something like this. But yeah, let's move on. Next we have my dear Hephaestus. Pull it up. This is what I see. Hephaestus issues. The problem is it's rarely chosen right now because of Shafts of Plague. It's just a better choice late game. You don't really want to go Hephaestus if Shafts of Plague gives you both tempo through Earthquake and gives you an insanely good late game unit, which is true damage archers or divine damage archers, right? And Hera, you get the Medusa and you get the Lightning Storm. So it's still not worth it to go for Hephaestus for Zeus. And the possible solutions I see here is these things right here. Forge of Olympus, reduce armory cost by 50%. Right now I believe it's 60, but this is a nerf, right? Hear me out. And provide 10 to 300% or 100 to 300% research time reduction. Credit to Kvoth for coming up with this idea. I really liked it. And I think this would be a great change. This means that you can now save up on armories and get your upgrades out quicker. And another thing, if you want to take it a step further, what you could do is also apply the research time after. You can apply the research time on military lineups as well. So you would be getting, your heavy and champion ups quicker. That's one idea if you want to add on to this. But the big thing is this, Colossus changes. Colossus feel very underwhelming. Very underwhelming. Very expensive, very underwhelming. And I think this is something, this can still, being able to lifesteal from attacking buildings, like pretty much similar to the upgraded rock giants, would be amazing. It would fit Colossus perfectly, I feel. It's just, nerf them somewhere else, nerf their tankiness a bit maybe, or I don't know. But this could be really, really good if done correctly. They would feel really good. But another important thing is that the cost should be adjusted to require wood instead of gold. Because gold is like super valuable, right? And one thing I've noticed is most myth units in this game right now, they're either food or wood in the Mythic Age. For some reason, Colossus is gold. I understand, Colossus gold, go with the, like what makes sense. But I feel like it's not a good idea for a unit like this, because a unit like this isn't actually strong enough to cost gold. It doesn't kill armies, it kills buildings. So I think wood would make it more feasible to make than gold. It's not about making sense, it's about making the unit work. But yeah, moving on. Those are my Hephaestus suggestions. Let's move on to the next one, which is, okay, next one up, earthquake issues. The problem with earthquake is it's underwhelming. Its impact is reduced by building spread, and it can easily be countered with masons and some buildings around the town center. What I hate with this god power is if you're, let's say, against an Egyptian, and you know, nowadays Egyptians love spamming that gold mine. So let's get this out. Let's get our brush out. Let's pretend there's a gold mine right here, and you're trying to do a earthquake timing push on your opponent. You're on a gold mine here. You want to hit this, but he has one migdol here and one migdol here. If you hit this, you wanna obviously try to kill both, right? You want to hit both. Sure, click in the middle, but neither of them will die. I feel like this is really, really unfortunate. Because back in Legacy, you used to be able to do this. And taking this out makes me sad. Please bring it back. It should, instead of, if let's say there's no building in the center of the earthquake, like let's say I'm aiming it on the gold mine, make it shock out, like make the damage spread outwards so that these things around it get hit and the damage still stays the same. It would be like this, a nice little sunshine. Let me quickly remove this and come in with my possible suggestions for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed that drawing. I suck, I know, but stick with me here. These are the possible solutions. Oops. Pause. There we go. Possible solutions. Adjust damage distribution so that if the center has no buildings, the damage spreads outwards, ensuring key structures such as fortresses, town centers get hit from the, the earthquake. Alternatively, increase the damage so that Masons doesn't completely, 200 food, 300 wood upgrade doesn't completely counter this god power. But yeah, that's what I would like to see changed for Earthquake. Moving on, we have the biggest discussion regarding Greek. And this one, a lot of people have been talking about, including me. This is what I see. The Greek hero problem, this is the biggest priority, right? This is the biggest one. They struggle against myth units very bad in mid to late game. Early game, like the first couple of minutes, you're fine, right? Unless you're against something like Sphinx or Anubites, then you're not fine. But like, outside of that, the free myth unit or whatever, they can deal with it. But the other stuff, when it comes to mid game or late game, or if your opponent starts spamming myth units, you are completely done for. Main reason is because your archaic and classical age heroes, they will always die before reaching their intended target, which only leaves you with 2 heroes left late game, which is your heroic age hero and your mythic age hero. Plus, this heroic age hero is super expensive considering how bad it is. 250 wood and 100 gold as Greek, this is not a unit you can freely make to defend when you hit the heroic age. I'm not saying it's an insane price, kinda is, but I don't think the stats or the utility the unit has really makes up for how expensive it is, Know what I'm saying? Could get fucking 5 pioneers for the same price, man. Kappa. Anyway, possible solutions. I have quite a few here, so bear with me. Okay. Let's have a look-see. Boom. Possible solutions. Improve hero mobility. Change the weight class of the heroes so that they can walk through everything except for villagers. But if that's a hard thing to redesign, then let them walk through villagers as well, because we need this. I am sick of my Jason, my Hercules, my goddamn Achilles, Ajax, Theseus, Atlanta getting body blocked by every single unit when I'm trying to go for a backline myth unit. I am so sick of it. Please, change their weight class so that they can walk through units. All of them. it's a hero. It's a limited hero as well, so you can't make more. Another thing, please reduce their trading time. Please, like, they just take so long to make. Not for classic. Once you hit heroic, maybe bump the time it takes to make them by 5-10 seconds, you know, because they will die for sure. Let me just get them back in the fight a bit quicker so they can die again. You know what I mean? All right. Introduce passive healing. 0.5 per second seems very reasonable to me to ask for. This is very reasonable. It's not too much, and it's not too little. It's just all right. Yeah. Also, buff the hero damage versus flying myth units. They take too long to kill them right now. If if we exclude the heroic age myth unit, your ranged hero, if we exclude that one, the age archaic one, classical one, and mythic one, they will take forever to kill a flying unit. They need some kind of buff to deal with them, because currently, you know, there's tons of new flying units. You have King Long, you have Zook, and you have the Chongqi, and you have Pegasus, you have Rock. Like, too many flying units. You have Symphalian Bird, and not enough damage to deal with said flying units. And they miss quite often as well. My Polyphemus takes like 15 seconds to pick up a rock and hit the flying myth unit, only for it to miss. Like, it's too much. But yeah, aside from those individual hero tweaks, I need to see Hercules, my boy, get some movement speed buff. But in return for this, you need to reduce his pierce armor, hack armor, or hit points. You cannot give him this without taking away something. This means you can either take away his damage, take away his pierce armor, hack armor, anything. Alternatively, you can add a special attack. If there's redesign on the table, please reach out to me on Discord. My Discord is 07019. If redesigning is on the table, message me and I will tell you some other suggestions. For example, Hercules can have the same exact stats as he has now, no increased movement speed, but a 100% snare for 1.5 seconds. So this means those motherfuckers better be on their toes, because if my Hercules catches them, I will kill them. But yeah, this is more reasonable, right? The movement speed buff. As for Perseus, remove his ability to use a special attack on human units. This is a big problem for Perseus. It is not a good thing. It is bad. Unless you are a 500 efficient APM freak who is going to manually go in and out, cast, make the hero, and disable the auto casting thing, you won't more often than not accidentally will use your special attack on a normal unit, and then you're just standing there looking at the myth unit as it's destroying your army, or as the myth unit is destroying your army. I don't like it. I can understand and appreciate the ability to kill human units, but I don't like that it's automatically there, you know? Maybe you can add an extra button where it only kills human units with a special through clicking a button or something, but the easier thing is to just remove it. Just let him kill myth units instantly. That's what he should do. Legacy Perseus was the GOAT. It had its use. Plus maybe a slight hit point buff. He feels really squishy and really slow. Only his special attack is relevant. Bellerophon, probably the best Greek hero by far. Super mobile, high durability, insanely good special attack, high damage. Like the gap close it has, it's just crazy. One of these things need to be nerfed. It's too much. This hero has too much. It needs a nerf. I think take one of these things, probably go for the durability to keep it as a glass cannon hero that does insane damage, has high mobility, but get rid of the durability at least, or take it down a notch. You know what I mean? All right. Hope you guys like that. I think those are reasonable demands, right? Or reasonable wishes, I should say. Yeah. Greek hero department done. This concludes my Greek balance. I would just like to say these are broad suggestions aimed at improving the Civ balance in a way that makes it more accessible, where strategic variety is included and you know all units being viable. It's not really to over buff them or make them OP, it's to just bring them up to par with other civs. Know what I mean? I would love to hear feedback and thoughts on this. So if you do have anything, you know, just lay it down, lay it out, let me know. But yeah, that's for Greek. Next up, we have none other than everyone's favorite. Drumroll, please. Drumroll, please. Egyptians. Boom. Didn't expect that one, did you? So, I have a lot of I've heard a lot of different mixed feelings about how Egyptians are right now. Some say they're super weak. Some say they're still OP. You know what I say? I say they have been strong for a very long time, but after the recent changes, they feel super balanced. Like they feel balanced. There are some things that are obnoxiously strong about them still, but overall, they're in a good state. They're, I would say, balanced. This is what you should strive for. But let's get into the actual problem. This guy, fucking bane of my existence, the Citadel Center. This god power is just too good. You get population. It costs 150 to recast. So late game, you have 3 Citadel Centers because of the 4 monuments giving you insane amounts of favor. This thing makes pushing insanely difficult because of the insane DPS, the crazy repair rate from the Pharaoh or Priest empowering it while your villagers are repairing it, and it's just insanely hard to push, even with god powers. So please, hear me out. These are the problems, and these are the solutions. Reduce the DPS output. That's number 1. You don't have to do all of these, by the way. Everything I've said so far, you can pick and choose which one you think is a good idea and possibly would like to implement, if at all. Maybe they're all shitty ideas. I don't know. I'm just, giving you my thoughts and feelings. But yeah, number 1, the DPS is way too high. Like, it's off the charts with the Pharaoh empowerment. Even without it, it's insane. But with the Pharaoh empowerment, it's fucking next level. Second, reduce the hack crush armor significantly. Or make it scale with age ups. So in heroic age, it's squishier, and in mythic age, it's tankier. Third one, reduce the overall hit points. Same thing as the second one, but pick and choose, right? Whichever one you think is better. Know what I mean? All right. That is it for the Citadel Center. Next up is something that has plagued the community for a long time. Okay? I'm sure a lot of people are sitting on the edge of their seats waiting for me to speak up about this unit. And I'm here to speak. Listen. Chariots have been strong. Okay? Some might say even OP. Okay? I'm not here to argue against that. I am here to simply say this right here. The recent nerfs to cherries were too harsh, making them weaker than intended, in my opinion. The pierce damage nerf was not really necessary. It really wasn't. They got hit multiple times on different fronts. This one was a bit too far. What should have happened, in my opinion, is one of the following. Okay? Boom. This, let's say if you were to make a change, I would suggest the pierce damage revert the pierce damage nerf. But this right here would have been the key. Reducing the range from 20 to 19. And possibly reducing the hit points by 10. People may say, but 10 is not that much. Well, this means if you do get on top of them, which you should now, because they're not that good anymore, or they are still fine, they're balanced, but a slightly, ever so slightly underperforming. And that one pierce damage, I think, might put it in a good position. But yeah, these are the things. These are pretty much it. Egyptians are in a good place overall. It's just the Citadel Center and Chariot need slight adjustments, fine-tuning, to make sure that they still remain competitive, but not too overpowered or underpowered, right? Open to feedback and additional suggestions, if you guys have any. But yeah, aside from that, that's all I have for the Egyptians, really. I think they're in a good state. I don't think they're that problematic. Sure, it might have some strong... some matchups might be slightly better than others, but, you know, we can live with that. We can live with that. It's fine. It'll get better. But yeah, next up, we have... Okay, this one might be controversial, but I think this needs to be done. It's time to talk about the Atlanteans. The civ that has been going under the radar for a bit too long, I would say. About 4 or 5 months too long. It is time, okay? Listen. Atlanteans are in a relatively strong position overall, but certain aspects of their gameplay feel too good. Like, they aren't overpowered to the point, except for some key things, they aren't overpowered to the point of game breaking, but they are overpowered in certain aspects that do break the game. Let me talk you through this. Let me give it to you. The very first issue I would like to bring up is this. The bane of my existence, the Caladria. This unit has too much. It has passive healing, burst healing, slow. It's just too good. And the fact that you can heal your Caladrias to get there, so any damage they take gets nullified because they heal each other anyway. Or if you're Gaia, you just go back to your Lush and you heal up anyway. So this unit right here is disgusting. This shuts down any aggression early game. It's just like, no, please. This needs to be addressed, I feel, way more than it already has. And these are the possible solutions I can think of it. Remove the pacifiability altogether. I think that's the easiest thing and the best thing. It's just so toxic. It's so toxic getting chain pacified, because I don't feel like I got outplayed. I feel like I got fucking robbed of my Age of Mythology experience. Shift its power to being a better healer. If it's going to be a healer, let it be a healer, but don't let it fucking kill my units on top of that, because this thing is killing my units. Don't get me wrong. Just because it doesn't attack you physically does not mean it's not killing your units. This is the main reason I cannot go myth units against Oceanus. Another thing is reduce the movement speed to 4.5 to make it easier to chase down, because right now it outmaneuvers everything with minimal micro. While I'm over here sweating, like fighting for my life, trying to kill it. But no, even in team fights, they just You you simply click on it, they pull it back, and your entire long range army, archer army, or hero gets dragged into their army and they die. It's very, very annoying and toxic. Yes. Alright, that's it for Caladria. Let us move on to the key. One of the key issues. These two. Lance of Stone and Poseidon's Secret. The bane, one of the banes of my existence. People don't really understand how insane these two upgrades are. They are easily S+ tier. These are on par with Dwarven Breastmail levels of bullshit, okay? These two upgrades together make Contarius a unit worth 120, 130, maybe even 35 resources, I feel. They are just too good. They just do too much. They become insanely good at everything they do. They can even fight generalist units, which shouldn't really be the case most of the time, right? But they can still go toe-to-toe with generalist units. Especially something like a Hoplite. Something like a Berserk. Shouldn't happen, really. These are the problems I have listed down here. 15% damage buff and 70% snare effect for 2 seconds for a measly 100 gold and 12 favor. How do you expect me to sleep at night knowing this upgrade is that cheap and it gives you this much? How? I wake up in the middle of the night because of this upgrade. It is absolutely insane. This is S+ tier upgrade right here for 100 gold and 12 favor. As for Poseidon's Secret, well, it's dirt cheap. Gives you cheaper Cantarius, which you're going to make throughout the entire game anyway, because they are pretty much the best unit, right? They're so versatile, they do so much damage, and they are okay into any unit that is not a straight up 6 times multiplier against Cav. They're extremely good. And this just, gives them speed and makes them cheap. Allows them to continuously dive and the problem is you should not be able to dive a town center and get away with it just because your units kill something so quickly that you cannot even react. You can have a suicide squad on repeat of Cantarius continuously throwing them into the enemy base or gold mine. As long as you're killing 3 or 4 villagers, you are more than making up for it. Those are the problems, right? And here are the possible solutions. Some of them may be extreme, but I think overall, this is what needs to be done for these two. Remove the goddamn snaring effect from Lance of Stone. Why does a cavalry have a snaring effect in the first place? This needs to be gone. Like, please. It's silly. And even if it gets gone, even if it's removed, it still does not justify how cheap it is for how much damage you get out of it. This and this combined would make it fine. But like, look, reducing the discount from 15% to 10%, if you want to keep that mechanic, sure, do it, but at least 10% or instead of 15, that would be nice, so they can have to, it takes a little bit longer for it to pay off. Reduce the movement speed bonus from Poseidon's Secret. It's Poseidon's Secret, not Gaia's Secret, man. I know she stole it, but like, give it back. Like, come on, 10%? Even Poseidon doesn't get 10%. Come on. Poseidon gets 0.4 from his own secret. Why does Gaia get 10%? Come on. Please return it. Take it down to 5. I beg. Increase the cost of Poseidon's Secret to 300 food and 30 favor. Now, if you do this, I will excuse these two. Okay? This can... If you do this, then this is fine. If you don't do this, this is not fine. This is still not okay. If you do this, this is still not okay, by the way. Oops. I kind of griefed. Oops. This is still not okay, by the way. 300 gold, 25 favor is still not okay. This still needs to get removed. This still needs to get removed. Please. But This for this is okay, but not for this. Please, okay, thank you. That's it for Lance of Stone and Poseidon's Secret. I know I may have gone a bit too hard on it, but please. I've suffered for a long time, and I'm sure a lot of people have too. Next problem coming up. Boom. Bite of a Shark. This upgrade makes Remulos so good compared to every other Generalist unit. Like, the divine damage is just too good, and how early it is accessible. This upgrade is insane, and it needs a little bit of tuning, alright? And these are the things I came up with. Increase the cost to 200 food and 15 favor. That's number one. This means you cannot rush it that early anymore. Okay, which means they are left vulnerable for a bit longer, right? Reduce the divine damage from 0.75 to 0.5. That's another one you can do, and go from there. Maybe it's still going to be too much, but we can start there, right? Small increments, give and take, right? You could remove the divine damage altogether and instead just give them a 15% hack damage increase, you know, that also works. Because then armor, if you get, you know, armor upgrades, it's not going to be as bad. So there's counterplay to it. Or alternatively, remove the hack damage bonus you get from it, but keep the divine damage as it is. I'm not saying you should do all of these things. Remember, I am going to say it again. All of these possible solutions that I list, I am not saying you need to do, or I want you to do all of them. I want you to pick and choose which one you think is best to possibly make a change. I don't even think any changes will be made based off of what I say or suggest, but I am hoping on the slim chance that it does happen. And if it does, maybe it's one of these things. I've given a lot of thought into this, and I've consulted and I've asked many people, top players and more average players, to see their thoughts and feelings regarding these things, because I want to go ask them. Like, I asked my friend, what do you find problematic in your elo? He's around 1500. He says, Gaia makes me want to not play this game. Norse makes me not want to play this game. I'm like, all right, what's it about them? And then they start saying, I don't know, I just lose all my villagers to Contarius all the time, and it never ends. And I'm like, okay, I've been there too. I know what you're saying. Anyway, I'm yapping too much. Let's keep on going. Let's keep on going. Yes, yes. So that is Bite of the Shark. That is number one, right? Number two, I bet you guys didn't think I would think of this one, huh? There is no oversight from my side. I will catch them all. Weightless Mace. This is too good. This bastard is way too good. For how cheap it is, and for what you get out of it. People don't know, but this upgrade allows you to turn your Catapeltes into a generalist unit. Turning Catapeltes into generalist units because of an upgrade is kind of insane, no? Move the movement speed fully for regular units, but keep it for the heroes, or reduce the movement speed from 10 to 5% and the damage buff from 15 to 10%. And increase the cost to 100, 115. This makes it so that you cannot immediately rush this unit and this upgrade and get insane value out of it. Because this is the first thing you are gonna get if you're going to make Catapultas. This is just too cheap and too good. For 50, 50, 15, it's way too cheap and way too good. Yeah, you thought I was done with Atlantean, huh? No, definitely not. I have this bastard right here, Hesperus Tree. The problem with this god power, oh my god, I cannot even begin. I was very, very close once to quitting this game because I had a game against someone who sat in his base for 20 minutes doing nothing but trading wood and food for gold while spamming dryads to trade with my units. I lost the game. I wanted to quit. Why I'm still here? I don't know. I love the game, but still, it did so much mental damage to me that I just don't see how this is fine. How someone can stay cooked up in their base for 20 minutes and getting gold starved and still get away with it because dryads are so fucking insane. And they've gone unscathed for too long. I'm here to raise some attention and possibly get something done here. They just trade too well into any unit. They fit into any composition. Their stats are insane. Everything is too high. They're too cheap. No pop. Too good stats. Just insane. Here are my possible solutions. Boom. Change Dryads from costing wood, 150 wood, to 175 gold. This is the one change I would like the most. Alternatively, if you want to keep their quote wood based, because they're from a tree, they should cost wood logic, then jank the fucking price up to 300, because this is a unit worth 300, if not more. I would probably say this is worth 350. And anyone who argues against that, go do some math and come back to me with how much this unit costs in terms of stats, population, and health, and everything else. Or alternatively, add a population cost of 3 for each Dryad, or this one. Increase the training time from 8 seconds to 35 seconds. Now, people may think 300 wood is a lot, but this is the other alternative. And in Legacy, this was the cost, right? They were costing gold, and nobody was complaining about them because you actually had to trade something off for them. But them costing 150 wood is an actual robbery. Either 3 population, like my preferred, this is my least preferred one, by the way, just to you know, throw it out there. This is my least preferred one, but I don't think they should cost any less than this. Maybe 250. Let's be nice and say 250. I still think they're worth more, but let's say 250. That is the least they should cost if they're going to stay the way they are. But this is the ideal change, or this. Maybe these two combined. I don't know, but something needs to be done about these. These are just way too good. You may think this is the last, but it's not the least. This God Power is just too good. It can wipe an entire army. It just destroys buildings, kills villagers, does everything. There's no cap on anything. It just does everything. Recently, there was a YouTube video made by Automaton where he actually teaches you how to use this God Power. And the way it's used gives you 0 counterplay, and it kills everything. It will kill everything. So this needs some fixing. Please look into it. Here are the possible solutions I have come up with. Boom. Remove the ability to suck in villagers. Have a cap on how many villagers can be sucked in. Have a cap on how many units it can suck in. Have a cap how much damage the units inside can take. Allow garrisoning for units or villagers to prevent getting sucked in. And this one is important. Remove the restriction of accessing Underworld during Implode. Okay, I'm okay with the fact that you can't place Underworld while the Implode is happening, but if there's already an Underworld happening and someone implodes you, you can't go back. Know what I mean? Have a cap on building damage, because there are no caps on this thing. It's just too good. I'm sure these are reasonable asks, right? Nothing too crazy, right? I'm completely within reason. I haven't lost my mind. Maybe I lost my mind before, but I'm saying here. Next up, this one. Boom. Oops. Fuck, I revealed the solutions before. But yeah, let's do this one. Alluvial Clay. It gives health and an extra offspring and health to the offsprings. This is too much, right? In some matchups, this is beyond impressive. Not oppressive is the correct word. This is too good in some matchups. And there isn't really much counterplay to it. 3 offsprings with bonus health and the main Promethean also having bonus health. It's kind of too much, no? And I would like something to be taken away from it. Possibly one of these things. Increasing the cost slightly. Or removing either the 20% offspring health or removing 1 extra offspring. It's not big changes, very small changes, but it would overall make it better, I think. But yeah, There are also some wish lists for Helios. I don't really know too much about Helios because the 1 or 2 times I've used it, it just feels underwhelming. So I haven't actually written down anything about Helios, but if the dev team can see this and hear me, do something nice for Helios, give them some love, so there's some more variety for the Atlantean players out there. Give them some love. But yeah, wrapping it up with Atlanteans, my final thoughts. These adjustments are just to retain the strength of Atlanteans while reducing the aspects that make them OP, Like the Dea Cantarius, the Bite of the Shark, the Caladria, the Dryads, Those things that are a bit too good without completely gutting the Civ. Also the implode now that Automaton released that video, please. If you have any thoughts and feelings, let me know. Do let me know. I know some people won't like these suggestions, but everyone has their own opinion, right? And these are just mine. Now, I'm pretty sure this next one is by far the most controversial and the one I potentially may catch a lot of heat for. But we're into Norse chat and team and YouTubers. We have finally treaded the Norse swamp. Oh, Automaton in the chat saying, damn, I should learn to shut up and let me play my... Yep. You should have not said anything, man. You should have not said anything, because that thing is just crazy now. Right. Let's start with my thoughts. Norse have been overperforming in nearly every aspect of the game, military-wise, god power-wise, economy-wise, and I'm here to, address some of these things, not everything, but some of them, to make them more in line with the other civs. Hopefully. Disclaimer, I'm also a Norse player, by the way. I do play Norse, but I think they have some problems that do need to be addressed. The very first one we could talk about is this one. Loki's counter damage bonus. This mechanic is beyond annoying and toxic. It leaves with it's just something you don't have to do anything, but you're just having better game because of simply being better. Like, it's not a good bonus. It's a super toxic bonus. And I think this is the very first thing that should be addressed and done something about. And these are the possible solutions I can think of. Did take me a while, by the way, to come up with these. So it is very difficult to take this away from Loki and not give him something that will still help him. So I had to cook a lot. Lots of kitchen cooking. So rework the god bonus into something more fitting. Implement. So here we can take a page out of Shenong's book, right? We could implement a low chance to spawn a myth unit from the next stage while you're fighting, Because Loki players are gamblers, and imagine gambling a rock giant in classical age, right? That's Omega Poggers. But make it low enough so that if it does happen, it doesn't happen all the time. Yeah, that's one of the things, Next up, increase the military and myth unit training speed by 25%. This allows Loki to be more aggressive, as I'm sure he was intended to be, right? Because right now, Loki isn't an aggressive god. He's more of a reactionary god, and some would say even defensive. And this could be mainly because Norse right now, their training time on units are relatively slow, with the exception of Berserks. They are way too fast to train. But yeah, if you were to, increase their military / myth unit training speed by 25%, I think that would fit fit his god as a god. You know, Loki would be fine. Would give them something. And another thing you could do is grant 10% movement speed to myth units to reinforce the identity of a fast-moving myth unit-focused god. You could also combine these two, you know, give them 2 new god bonuses. Of course, with this change, Berserks also need to be changed. Their training time. They cannot be too good, right? There has to be, like, something there, right? If a full rework isn't viable or redesign, you can always do this, you know? At least, like, don't, like, 10%, you know, at the end of the day, 10% is a lot, but better than 20. Just something needs to be done about this. Right, chat? No? Anyway, yeah. That is it for Loki. Now, for the true issues of Norse. This is what I have decided to be the problems. Forsetti and Bragi. You get too much from Forsetti. Let's not joke around, right? It's just too much. You gain too much from this minor god. You get trolls, which are insane, which can murder any unit. Like when a big fight is happening, just aim your trolls at that big clump and they're all dead. Hall of Thanes, you know, fucking disgusting. Why is the units as fast as a cavalry? I don't get it. Why are infantry units as fast as a cavalry? It just doesn't make sense. I would suggest changing this to 5%. But we'll get to that. But this is just insane. The 10% here, infantry movement speed. The 5% to heroes is fine. This is okay, but this is insane. Dwarven breastplate. Jesus Christ, this tech is insane, man. For both Herdmen and Berserks. I think we need to do something about this. Yes. And Healing Spring. This one. Now this allows you to take no damage in the early game. There is nothing that can be done to you if you have a Healing Spring, because any damage you take, your villagers just heal, your units just heal. So you can continuously take bad trades, and if your opponent can't heal his army and you can, you will always win out on it. And it kills any form of early aggression. Another thing, Call of Valhalla. This rewards bad gameplay. Suiciding units is not something that should be rewarded. When I play, I rush this tech just to suicide as many berserks as I can to get more favor. And this is not a good way. This is not a good design. I don't know why this was ever put in the game in the first place, but this is not something that should be in the game. And Swine Array. This has been a topic amongst many. They do think this is a bit too good, and I do agree. Now, let's talk about possible solutions for all of these, which I have right here. Boom. Reduce Troll's special attack damage by 25% against normal units. This now lets this now means that trolls don't actually kill normal units instantly anymore. They may take a lot of damage, but at least they have the option of backing up and healing, rather than the way it is right now, which is as soon as you take one single misstep and the trolls hit your clump, you are done for, and you most likely lose the game. Next up, Dwarven breastplate, hack armor bonus for Herdmen and Berserks from 15 to 10%. This is too much, and 10% I think would be fine. 10% is where it would be okay, in my opinion. But yeah, please. Hall of Thanes, infantry movement speed from 10 to 5%. I think this is a given, and I think every single person probably agrees with this, that the Hall of Thanes upgrade is way too good, and it shouldn't be this good. Know what I'm saying? Remove the favor gain from Call of Valhalla to prevent rewarding bad trades, just as I said before. Swine Array adjust, adjustment would be nice. You could either increase the cost, remove the 10% damage and keep the two times multiplier, or keep the 10% damage and reduce the cav multiplier from 2 to 1. It's not a lot, You know, it's still gonna be a good tech. Could even do 1.5, but 2-to-1. If you want to keep this, like, one of these need to be toned down. It has too much right now for how cheap it is. I hope I'm not gonna get murdered or pitchforked, but those are the Forsetti Bragi things I would like to see changed. And next up is actually the Huskarl. You guys didn't expect that one, did you? Huh? You guys thought I would not notice the power of Huskarls? Boom! This unit, for the longest time, people thought it was bad, but it's always been strong. And it's really strong, in fact. Now that every other archer unit has been nerfed, it was already strong against every single archer unit, don't get me wrong. People were just not making them because they couldn't get them out or they thought it wasn't worth their time to make them. But now, ever since their placebo buff, which was barely a freaking buff, right? There was no stat buff or anything. It was simply a training time reduction by 2 seconds. Suddenly, now Huskarls are that good. No, they were always good. You just didn't make them. Now, pairing this with Hall of Danes now means you have zooming Huskarls that can deal with any archer ball. Uh, Maybe this can be held off on, but this can be held off on if Hall of Danes do get changed. But in case it doesn't, here we have some solutions. Increase the training time from 8 to 10 or 12. You can do that, 10 to 12. Increase the population, which is very much not feasible in my opinion. This is just another random idea. Or reduce the damage from multiplier from 2 to 1.5 times. Maybe this doesn't even need to be changed once Hall of Danes comes. Once Hall of Danes get nerfed, maybe this doesn't need to be changed. But right now, the way they are, paired with Hall of Danes, they're absurd. They are beyond absurd. They're way too good. Maybe it's the movement speed that's letting them be this good. But you can't really build archers against Norse, which is what Norse historically always struggled against, right? But yeah, this is a super good unit. Should probably be addressed in some way, one way or another. Now, you guys may think I'm hating on Norse, blah, 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 blah. Now, let me guys show you some love, okay? Let's give Norse some love. Balder issues. Balder has been underwhelming compared to other Mythic Age choices ever since I started playing this game. Both his god power and his unique techs are very lacking, right? They just feel they just don't feel good. So let's talk about possible changes for this, right? What could we come up with? Boom. I was cooking and I thought of this. Buff Sons of Slipnir. Why is it 10%? It's a Mythic Age God power. Why is it 10%? That just does not make any sense to me. It should be at least 20. Could even argue 25, right? It's like, give it some love, man. Don't be scared. You could also make it increase the archer multiplier from one times to 1.5 times. You know, this means RC now will actually be super good against archers, which is fine, which is okay. They're supposed to counter them anyway. Give them a better, like, make them counter them a little bit harder because you are, after all, going Balder and going Mythic Age, right? And reduced Dwarven Augur research time. I think this should be 5 seconds, 10 seconds, I don't know. Just the fact that this is 40 seconds, I don't think anyone wants to go for it, right? I don't think anyone would like to go for it. But maybe if it's 5 seconds, you'll see some more play and use from this. So hopefully this gets changed. And the most important part, the god power itself. The best suggestion I've seen so far is actually from Pegasus Rush. So shout out Peggy. His suggestion was to reduce the Ragnarok hero population cost from 3 to 2. This means after you use your rag, you'll have you'll be able to replenish your villagers faster, allowing you to, you know, get back in the game after you lose all your rag heroes because they suck, right? But yeah, this is something that should be done. I don't think this would push Balder to be overpowered. Not even close. But yeah, another thing is introduce a new tech for Baldur, man. Why does it only have 2 techs? I don't. Kind of underwhelming from Mythic Minor God, no? I would like to see some text added to this. All right. Next up, we have boom, the Hamask. Hamask is kind of bad. Not gonna lie. This upgrade is very bad compared to what it used to be, and I would like to see it receive some love. And the possible solution I could see here are these. Boom. Rework it into Legacy Lone Wanderer. That was a good tech, right? You can rework it into a 5% life stealing tech, which might not be much, but it's better than what it is right now. Or you can just adjust its cost to 125 wood and 5 favor and see what happens. Does Odin suddenly become overpowered because this tech was already OP? People just didn't want to use it because they costed so much. Was it the same? Is it the same thing as Huskarls, or is it something there? Is the tech actually bad? You know what I mean? But ideally, you just want to rework it into Lone Wanderer. This would allow Odin to actually go Heimdall and play a more infantry-oriented style. You know what I mean? Because right now, you're more often 99% of the time going for Freya, and since you are going Freya, you more often than not need to go for the Cav because that's what Freya gives you, right? Very strong Cav. But yeah, I would hope to see some love for this tech. I think there's some potential there. Now, one more thing. Bet you did not expect I would figure this one out, right? Boom. Fists of Renown. This tech is too good, man. You shouldn't be rewarded by hill for spamming everywhere by having insane amounts of healing and crazy good eco for it. It just should not be that rewarding. It is simply too good. Moving on to the possible solutions. Boom. Reduce the healing effect from 1 to 0.25. This way, you know, you'll need 4 health forts to start healing them at 1 per second. Right? That's still fine, right? That's still something. That's still good, no? Alternatively, remove the 1 food per second gain. I don't know why this even. What does a food have to do with a town? Okay, I mean, not the town, but the hill fort, right? I don't know why it gives food from hill forts. Maybe sure town centers, sure, why not? But why hill forts, right? Or keep them at 1 and remove the stacking healing effect from hill forts. This way, you don't see your opponent spamming 10 health forts for 10 health a second. Know what I mean? It's kind of insane, no? But yeah, Piece of Renown, too good, too strong. Please fix. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Norse. Because like the Norse is currently kind of too strong in some aspects. It needs some fine tuning to bring them more in line with the other civs, I would say. And I hope like the changes I suggested here are reasonable for you lot and the devs, and I don't get chased with pitchforks. But I would say it's a good way to start, right? Do leave some feedback and thoughts about this. I do want to know your thoughts and feelings. All right, chat. Pitchfork you for Huskall complaints. Ah, come on now. Alright, next up, now that we're done with Norse, what is the last civ we are going to be doing? It is, of course, now, China only recently came out, right? China's a wonderful civ, amazing design, love it, very fun to play, right? But it does have some glaring issues. It's kind of in a volatile state where you cannot change stuff too much and too aggressively because it's still a new civ and stuff have not everything has been figured out like most other civs, right? So it takes time to see what's strong, what's weak. But after the most recent patch, China is kind of looking fine, right? Just a few key issues that are still making them a bit too good or a bit too weak. And I'm here to go over them. First one, Blazing Prairie. God power is just too good. What can I say? It is what Earthquake wishes it was. It is what Lightning Storm. I mean, to be fair, Lightning Storm is fine, but this God power is just too good on buildings, man. Like, it can take down 10 Migdols. It can take down an infinite amount of buildings wherever it's placed within that radius. And I'm not sure why. This God power does not have a cap to begin with. But it's probably going to get put in. But I would also like to give you my solution. Boom, cap damage to buildings and remove its ability to destroy farms. I don't know. There's nothing more toxic than deleting farms in this game. Like, a God power should not delete your ability to fucking come back into the game. Or a God power should not delete the ability to come back into the game. Such as implode. You know, this is doing the same thing, essentially. It's just toxic. There is no skill there. No god power besides Locust should be able to destroy farms. And Locust makes sense. But this shouldn't destroy, or if you're going to destroy farms, don't let it destroy buildings or units. This does everything right now. At least put a cap on buildings. I don't know how the damage on units, I don't feel is too problematic unless they sit in it for a long time. But the damage to buildings is kind of problematic, in my opinion, and the ability to destroy the farms. But yeah, that is the Blazing Prairie. Now, my favorite, Great Flood. Let's get into that one. Boom. The nerfs put my boy into shambles. Like, this god power feels really bad now. It doesn't feel like it's doing anything anymore. It feels like it went from 200% against everything down to 75% against everything. This feels so weak now. It felt like it killed everything right at the start. But now it feels like it kills nothing. No vills, no units, no buildings. I think it needs some love. I understand the over nerf on it because lots of people were complaining, but I think this was a bit too much, especially that I tried to combine it for a couple of games with the Drought God power in Heroic Age, and it still didn't do much. It killed buildings, but it didn't even kill a town center. A town center in exchange for a Mythic Age God power and a Heroic Age God power seems pretty reasonable for me. But now it doesn't even do that. I don't even know if the town center had masons, by the way. That's how bad it could be. But maybe we meet in the middle and say we give it an identity. Maybe it does 125% damage to units, 75% damage to villagers, or no damage at all. I don't know. But this needs some love and an identity. So we can. These are my possible solutions. Increase damage to units should actually kill something. Buff crush damage should actually destroy buildings. Nerf damage dealt to villagers to balance it out. But yeah, I think the god power needs a little bit of love. You don't have to overdo it, but just give it something, right? Because now it feels way too weak. Kind of feels way too weak. By the way, I'm not saying to do both of them. You can do one of them and go from there. Ideally, more damage to units, because usually if a tsunami hits you IRL, you lose your life. Sure, your building might get damaged, but you know the units are more likely to die than the buildings getting destroyed. But yeah. Now for the single most problematic thing for China. Boom, this guy right here, or this unit right here. Fuck me, this unit, man. This is the most rage. Okay, not actually. I would say this is less rage-inducing than Contarius or Thea Contarius, but it's up there. It's up there. Trust me. This unit is a fucking killing machine with zero counterplay. It has too much mobility, too much damage, and too much durability. And needs a change still. It did get nerfed, but I don't think it was quite enough. Possible changes, you know, something like these could be something, you know. Reducing the movement speed from 5.3 to 3.8 or 4. I think even this might still be too tough to deal with, but maybe this is the way to go about. I'm not entirely sure how to balance this unit, but I know it needs some nerfs. Maybe decreasing the special attack by 25 to 75% would do the trick. Maybe reducing the range even further to 9. I don't know. But this unit is kind of too good in the current state, and I would like to see something be done about it. Yeah, right. Boom. That's it for Kinglongs. Next up, we have Fey Beasts. So this god power is still strong. Yeah. The spawning instantly thing is kind of problematic because there is no counterplay to it in a high pressure battle. And the mobility makes it so that you can't actually hit them with ranged units, and you can't chase them with melee units or melee heroes, which usually ends up with half your army chasing the Fey Beast and the other half fighting his army. And then it ends up with you losing the fight anyway because Fey Beast's kind of too good. I do have some suggestions, some possible solutions for it. You know, boom. So we could start with reducing the movement speed from 6 to 5 or even 5.5, you know, but I think 5 is more reasonable than 5.5. We could introduce a negative damage multiplier against villagers. This way your 50 villagers won't die within a matter of seconds. And you could, I think this one should be done. 2 of these should be done, in my opinion. Either this and this, or this and this. One isn't quite enough, but both would probably put it in line with other heroic age god powers. But at this point, I'd even take one of them, to be honest. But yeah, that's it for Fey Beasts. Now, for another big problem. Boom, Earth Wall. While the recent nerfs made it more bearable, barely, it still traps units. It punishes aggressiveness with no counterplay for pierce-based armies, and I don't like that. I don't like when something does not have a counterplay. I understand you might say, oh, just have a hack-based unit there to take care of it, but the problem is you are now forcing your hack-based units to fight the wall to get out while your units are taking damage from his units. It's just the trapping is too good. The trapping is too good. And the fact that you can use it everywhere is kind of disgusting too. These are my possible solutions. Restrict usage to town centers and Baule, and delay the wall erection by 15 seconds before it comes up so that units can escape before being trapped. I think these two changes would actually make the god power balanced. Because there are some cheesy things you can do with this thing, which I'm not going to mention. I'm going to keep my secret scrimshot secret. I said I'm going to keep my secret scrimshot secret, Keto. Alright. Boom. That's it for Earthwall. Now, one of the bigger problems. This bastard. Hero Kwafu. This unit enables Nuwa to get away with anything. It's kind of silly to me how this thing can 2-shot, 3-shot myth units in the archaic age, and there's no drawbacks to it. This is like a must-make or must-rush unit for Nuwa. I understand it's her bonus, I understand that it's his bonus or her bonus, and that it's a good thing for her to have, but it should come with some drawbacks at least, right? Shouldn't be too good in every way. Right? Right now, you can take a second town center with 0 risk of getting denied. You can do whatever you want. You can defend against myth unit raids. You can defend against unit raids. It's just too good. It's too good. And the possible solutions for this is the following. Push the upgrade to heroic, or at the least classical age, so that you can't send it to a second town center upon, like, right as you're about to hit classic for it to instantly build it, so that your second TC can get punished. I think that's the most clear change that should be made. It still retains the strength, but it doesn't come out as early, allowing some damage to be done to Nuwa if someone chooses to up early and be aggressive. You can reduce the damage against human units and myth units significantly. I don't know why it does so much damage in the first place. It's just too strong. And or you can just increase the unit cost to 200 food and 15 favor. Now you're reducing the favor by 5, but you're increasing the food by 100, which I think is a big change. This means you can't get it out as early, or if you do, you're risking you won't be hitting classical as early. So you're like trading something off for it. Right now, there is no trade-off for getting this as early as you can. The only thing stopping you from getting it within the first second of spawning is the favor, which you get automatically anyway. You should have this unit by 220, since you can start building it at 155. It should come out at 220. No, just too good. But yeah, my thoughts overall about China is that they're in a much better place after the most recent patch. They were way too good before that, but overall I'm quite happy with them. There are some changes like I listed here that I would like to see changed, but it's not really game breaking for me or making me not want to play the game. The only thing, those are actually related to other civs rather than China right now, except for Kinglongs. Those are too good, okay? Uh, but yeah, uh, my thoughts are I have faith in the dev team. Okay, with the most recent patch, they've shown me they've restored my hope, and I do think this game is only getting better as the patches are coming, and I do hope they do take some of my feedback and thoughts into consideration and do something with them. Because I spent a long time, I spent around 7 hours just writing this stuff down, talking with people, getting their thoughts and feelings, you know. So I put down a lot of time and effort into this, and I hope you guys liked it and enjoyed it. Do comment and give me your thoughts and feelings on this. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, thank you for watching. Drop a sub, a like, a comment. Take care, everyone. Bye.